Let's focus on that. Now let me kind of cover as a non-realtor member. So you've already started paying into that other. So here's the and believe me, this is dumb. I am not a fan of the Association of Realtors. I frankly hope the association. I don't want to say I hope the association goes away because their ethics are good. I hope they wake up to the modern era. So NAR has put out a decree, whatever, that says that MLS access is not only for members of the association. However, in their structure, they've left that, which would mean that you would not be able to, you'd be able to access the MLS pending the local board's approval. So I just sent an email to my local board saying, how do you guys interpret, and the local board has the right to, because of an association structure, the local board has a right to say, no, if you're a non-member, you don't have MLS access, which I don't think you really need that. But so in any case, that's a question whether or not you need to join as a realtor to get MLS access. The separate question is how the board structure works. And this is where the stupidity part comes in. Mm-hmm. That I'm a primary member of the Scranton board. The only way we get you on another board is there's only two ways, and this is boards have the right to kind of do whatever the hell they want, but they typically do it one of two ways. Either if you wanted to join the Lancaster board or Bright or whatever, then I would have to join. One of two things would have to happen. Either I would join Lancaster first, and then you would also join, meaning they get two memberships, or you would join Scranton, and then I would, and then you could join whoever the hell else you want, which again means somebody gets two memberships, basically. You know, either you're joining Scranton and then joining somewhere else, or I'm joining somewhere else and then you're joining somewhere else. They get two memberships. I think that is, and I've met with unofficially. I literally went last year to the Association of Realtors statewide meeting and kind of cornered the board president and said, "Somebody explain this to me." And their explanations were honest and truthful. These men were not, inappropriate, but it was kind of, I looked at them and said, "Well, that's simply stupid." And he's like, "Well, he's like, you can go petition it to the local boards." But anyway, so right now, you don't continue paying that board you were paying, because unless you really want to, then I will become a member of them or whatever. We'll go that route. But if you don't care about being an MLS member, if you don't care about being a realtor, I just stop making those investments at this time and just kind of pause that equation. What I did think about, and I'm open to doing, is, if you say, "Hey, this board is really important to have access," I'll join it, and then you'll just sort of, my membership will be the membership again, rather than giving them twice as much money. Yeah. Argument on that is that, okay, yes, I care about the extra $1,600 one of us is paying, but we're all here to defend, and this is my point to him, we're all here to defend the client and the customer and work in their best interests. How does increasing our cost of operation, which means we have to increase what we charge them, how does that help the customer? It doesn't. So right now, if you don't care about being a realtor, that's great. Then we just stop, and we don't worry about that right now, and we kind of put that out of our minds. If you do decide being a realtor means something to you, or being an MLS member means something, or you think it'll help your business, then we can have that conversation. You can. So one more thing, and then I'll kind of ask you what you think. But you can still do actions with a listed property, because nothing stops in a everyone's a licensee. Realtors have chosen to join what I call a country club. If the country club advertises a property and you want to bring someone to it, you're a licensee. You have the right to do that. You just have to not use Association of Realtors because you're not a member. You can affiliate with me, or we can use, there's the Association of Realtors contracts, and then there's generic versions that are not copyrighted to the PAR, basically. So we would just work it that way, or you and I would do it together. So the point is that you don't need to right now continue making, in my opinion, make any payments to the board you were making payments to,
Hmm.
unless you decide, hey, yes, I actually do want to be a member of that organization.
So, do I need to be a realtor to get access to the MLS? Is being a licensee enough, or do I have to
So
be?
that's where it becomes, and I literally this morning just emailed. So, okay, so the unofficial answer, I'll give you offline because I'm recording this.
Yeah.
But the official answer is that um, every board as of January something, I think it's the 1st or the 5th, but whatever, sometime in January, um, the NAR no longer requires realtor membership to get MLS access.
Hmm.
The boards can have other opinions. Like NAR can say, no, you don't have to be a member, but Scranton board or Lancaster board or pick a board can say, yes, you do have to be a member to do so. So I just asked Scranton board what their position was on it. Any board we want to join, we would ask that question and say, hey, we're, blah, 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 blah. It becomes a board level decision. So if you want to be MLS access, now it's also up to the board whether that is read only access, i.e., you can view listings, or whether that's full access, you can list and you can do all the other fancy stuff. So that is so if you figure out, hey, this is the board that would be valuable to me, then we'll proceed and ask them those questions. I've asked it of Scranton, and I've asked both sides of the question. I've asked, hey, um, does my non do my members can a non-realtor have access to MLS, and do I have to make sure, because there's, and I've never tracked the code down for this, but there's also something that says that everybody in my brokerage firm has to be a realtor. I'm asking if that is actually ever been true. If it has, I'm ready to open a separate brokerage firm. I'm ready to open a non-par member brokerage firm.
Yeah.
So because if you, I've got 3 or 4 people in what might be your situation that don't want to be realtors. They have no interest in that. Their interest is totally in off-market work. And why do they have to join the realtor board just to exist? So basically, we can kind of walk through those decisions, but each board decides whether or not you can have MLS access.
Hmm.
So what was your other question, or any other thoughts about that?
Um, I'm just making sure I'll be able to access the MLS and do the same thing. Basically, be able to get things on market. As long as I'm able to do that, I'm fine. I don't need to buy it.
Okay.
You know?
And so okay, so basically just text me. I think you did yesterday, but if not, just text me which board, and I'll ask that board. I'll be like, hey, I'm a primary member up in Scranton. I may or may not still be a secondary member in Luzerne County. I forget, because the boards are all kind of, the databases are all blended. I have an agent down there who, wants access to your MLS, but doesn't necessarily want to be a board member. What are your rules here? And we can kind of walk through that. Now, yeah. So just tell me which board or boards you think are going to be useful, and let's get those questions out of the way. So we can make sure. I mean, if we have to join, if we have to do some sort of board structure to get you joined on the appropriate boards, if I have to join something, or you have to join Scranton and then join something, like what happened to me before this. So Scranton and Luzerne County Board, and there are a few others. Like within my 30-mile radius, there are 6 or 7 boards. And before, my friend Dan, who was president of the Scranton board, was able to get them all to combine their databases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Scranton and Wilkes-Barre, just you've never been up here, are 15 miles apart. One's exit 170, one's exit 185 on the highway. Literally, the two cities are 15. Those used to be 2 different databases. Actually, go back 7 years, they were 4 different databases.
Yeah.
And so when I was first a member of Scranton, I couldn't see things in Luzerne County without being a member of both boards. So I joined Scranton, then I had to join Luzerne County as an extra ride along. So basically, we just have to we just have to find out what boards are of interest to you and ask them.
So I'm looking to do really like anywhere in PA. So like I'm trying to figure out like if we could do like a statewide because I'm just trying to get deals like anywhere I can.
Okay. Yeah. So statewide is going to kill you because I think there's like 54 boards across the state. Like
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
absurd. And this was my argument to PAR when I went there last year,
Hmm.
because a big brokers like EXP just buys membership in every board. They just they don't give a crap because they have the volume of agents or whatever. So my recommendation to you is that we look at boards that are within if we're going to do boards at all, we look at boards that are within a reasonable driving distance that you actually want to service. Because, do you really want to travel an hour and a half to find out, well, do you really want Friday to happen again? You've traveled an hour and a half to find out the client either doesn't want to sign your paperwork, or they signed your paperwork and you drove an hour and a half and they don't like the house, or they're not willing to make an offer on the house that's going to work.
Hmm.
So, and again, I am the world's laziest selling agent, to be perfectly honest. I refer out all of my buyers. First of all, I refer out actually most of my sellers, except for my wholesales. But also, like, I'm not doing a buyer an hour and a half away unless we're actually like, if somebody says, hey, I know I want this property, I've driven by it, there's no question that, okay, great, I'll do it. But like, I'm not traveling 90 minutes to find out we're not going to, they're not going to follow through. And it's totally nothing wrong with them. We go see the house and the house is not for them. That is, I don't want them buying something that they don't want. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah, I'm cool with traveling. It's just next time I'm never gonna go without signing anything.
Yeah.
So
So so basically my recommendation as far as board membership now is that we pick a or a few boards that are within the geography you want. Like you probably don't, probably because you're Philly, I think.
yes.
Okay. So like Pittsburgh, Erie, okay, those are just probably crazy things to make a drive for. It would be easier for us to, if we had a client interested out there, we contact a broker out there and say, listen, we're handling the client. We want to give you an X% referral fee for being our MLS eyes, rather than spending $1,500 a year on a board membership you're going to use once. Now, I don't know what every board is, but I know my Scranton board membership is about $1,500 a year.
Yeah.
So you start doing that a bunch of times, and all of a sudden, that's a number. So I'll back your play, whichever. The easy way to back that play would be for you to join Scranton as a primary, and then the weird thing about the way the rules work. Wait a second, is that true? I have to think about that. I think you join Scranton as a primary, and then you can join any other board you want directly. But so all I'm saying is we want to pick carefully which boards because they're so freaking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And because most things that are listed on a board, if you want to be a buyer's agent in those markets, anything that are listed on the boards are going to be on Zillow anyway. Most of the board databases are cloned onto Zillow and Homes and blah, 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 blah. So all I'm saying is from a financial, your cost of running your business side of things, we just got to look at it and say, what's the expense that's worth it?
Yeah.
And that's a discussion we should, you should kind of like, we should probably sit and have a whole separate conversation and kind of look at the map and say, okay, these are the boards. But let's talk about deal getting. Now, are you primarily feeling more like buyer rep or seller rep, or you don't care at this point?
Probably a seller, but
Okay.
I do know like some developers who said they'll give me a commission if I find them buyers. So that's like a loophole where they're building like custom properties.
Okay. So actually, you brought up what was going to be my first suggestion in terms of getting you customers is, or getting you customers or clients. And again, remember the difference in a customer or client is whether or not they've signed a relationship with you. So, if you have a developer who has said, hey, bring me buyers and I will pay commission. And they're not saying, I want you to be my listing agent. Obviously, you would rather be in the situation that Will Christian is in that with that developer, that, hey, I am, he's probably, I never looked, but he's probably their listing agent. That's why he's posting the ads as listing agent.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gone to that developer and said, hey, I want to be your listing agent for this. My friend Mike is top 10 in the state for planting modular homes. He does very nice, high-end modulars in typically upper scale communities, but he does some everything. And in each community that he does it, he picks one or two brokers or agents and says, we build and you list them. He actually has an official arrangement. And in some other communities, he doesn't. In some other communities, he simply says, agents will pay you a commission if, but usually he's picked. So the first conversation you want to have with a builder, developer, modular home company, whatever, and I can, we can guide you to those companies, whatever, is, and I have a little bit of a guerrilla marketing package you can bring. And maybe I come down and have that meeting with you and say, listen, we want to work with you. And hopefully they're saying, yes, we will do a listing agreement with you. If not, they're saying, yes, we will pay you a commission. Either way, we want to get ideally something in writing stating that. If we don't get something in writing, however, it is entirely possible, it happens a lot, especially with commercial folks, I'm not putting crap in writing. And that's where the buyer agency agreement is what wins you. Before you go there, the buyer has said, don't care regardless, you're making 2%, 3% on this sale, even if I as the buyer have to pay. Mm-hmm. So going to developers, builders, land operators, redevelopers, wholesalers, kinda, and yet that's a yes, but that's a separate conversation. But people who redevelop property, flippers, basically. Having those meetings, going to those meetups on a regular basis, and being visible, being the guy there saying, hey, this is what we do, yada, yada, happy, let's do business. Spending the time in those environments. And one of the things, I'll introduce you to Joe Scarice, who's a private lender. One of the ways we can make money is by doing DSCR lending through Joe. Mm-hmm. Flip lending through Joe. And Joe's in Philly, and Joe, his grandfather started the investment company. So but Joe's been in real estate since before he was born. And Joe hosts meetups, and Joe knows all the best meetups to go to. And getting that visibility. Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m., Joe does a podcast, and I've missed about 3 of them in a row, but normally I'm one of his guest hosts. And yes, it's special, but no, it's not. A lot of people are his guest hosts. But basically, getting that kind of visibility, that kind of credibility. I go to this meeting, I go to that meetup. That's how you get in front. That's how you meet these developers. One of the ways you meet them. The other way is you're driving by their signs. You look up their ads and say, hey, Tyson Builders, he's a big developer up here. Hey, listen, how can I, who can I meet with? How can I get a relationship with? Because those guys are always doing something. I think Mike is putting down, in this year, Mike has put down 240 different homes. And think about that. 240 different properties that were vacant are now having a modular home. Through Mike. So some of these guys can do absurd numbers. So getting in front of those types of people is a great way to get listings or relationships. Another way to get into those relationships is we have a subscription with a land operating, what's called the Land OS. Mm-hmm. And I've got one on my team to take this serious. I'm not saying it has to be you. This is like a prop stream on steroids, batch leads on steroids. Basically, It does everything as far as finding vacant land that can be developed, whether residential, commercial, whatever. You find a parcel, and this is all kind of wholesale angle. You work it out with the seller and say, hey, you're looking to sell that? Yes, I am. Okay, great. Let's work out a contract. Da, da, da. Now let me find you a buyer. Now, the guy who developed it, Eric, has been doing very well with this, obviously. He spent the last 3 months traveling Asia. Is where he kind of started and still does is finding a tract of land. He doesn't just wholesale it. He doesn't just wholesale it. He will put it under contract for a fairly long period of time by most terms. And understand, you're doing land, you're doing commercial, you're doing self-storage, mobile home parks. The timeline is longer. The money can be bigger. But Eric will actually take a blank piece of land. He will find the money wherever his method of that, depends on the deal. He's bigger now, so he might just self-fund it. And they'll do all of the permitting, all of the subdividing, all of the whatever. And then go to a builder and say, hey, we got this. Mike just did this he picked up some land. He got under contract with Jared Kushner on 100 acres, I think it was, out in the Poconos. And Mike had planned to develop the land, to actually plant the houses. He made the deal with the Kushners at like $5 million or something, seller financed, and now just got an offer for $7 million from a developer, because he went through and he spent whatever he spent, a couple $100,000, which we can find the money. Don't worry about the numbers. But he subdivided it, papered it, basically got all the town approvals. So now the guy who buys it from him simply has to roll the tractors on the property and start doing the work. And for that $250,000 investment, he's going to make about $1 million, $1.5 million. So that's another way to get into that world of dealing directly with these developers, is finding parcels that are interesting for developers. We have 2 little pieces of land in Indian Lakes, which is a small HOA up here. I don't think the prices are that interesting. I don't think Indian Lakes is all that wonderful of development. But we had a guy who had 2 extra parcels in there, and he wanted like $5,000 for the pair. So we put it under wholesale contract, and we're trying to find a buyer. Really tiny example of that, but that's another way to get into that universe. So that universe of the guys who build, the guys who flip, the guys who, that's a great way to get relationships going. That's a great way to get things that buyers want, basically. Does that all make sense? Do you have any questions about that kind of category?
No, nothing so far.
All right, so we can walk you through that more in depth. But yeah, so now the developers you've met with, I mean, how have you sort of handled that? What are your plans on how to handle that and whatever?
They wanted me to bring a buyer first. I think they listed the property because I don't know. They have some sort of thing where they're listing the property and not an agent. I don't know how that works, but they're like builders.
Okay. So there's a couple. So in that builder universe, so they're doing they could be doing one of a few things. One is, you don't need. I mean, they might just be like some of Mike's stuff. He just puts his own sign out front, and he promotes it. And if a realtor wants to bring him a buyer, or an agent wants to bring him a buyer, a realtor or not, no problem. Buyer agency commission might be in the price, might be outside the price, but Mike doesn't need to have representation. Nobody needs representation. You can just put a for sale by owner sign out and whatever. The second thing they might be doing, which may be I've never done it, but I'm not against us doing it, what I'll call the low cost listing option, which is either a transactional listing. If they want to be on the MLS, but they don't want to deal with what everyone calls the realtor crap. They don't want to deal with all the paperwork, all the exclusive listing agreements. They don't want to pay 6% or 3%. That's basically what they're saying. We come up with a flat rate, and we say, hey, you know what? We'll promote your property, MLS or otherwise. All the calls go to you. We don't show it. We don't this. We don't that. We simply are. Typically, it's for MLS access. It's typically what they're paying for, but we're simply your marketing company. And for that, they might pay 1% at closing. They might pay $500 up front, whatever. It's all negotiated. So they might have that kind of deal with an agent. Or they might have an internal arrangement with an agent. They might have whatever. So if they're saying, bring me a buyer, then great. Go ahead and, but in those situations, you're not the guy to take, probably. I mean, if they ask you for this, talk to me about it, because that would be a little unusual. You're not the one taking the pictures. You're not the one, writing the promotions and because we don't have, but because why put in the work if why put in the work of a listing agent if you're not going to get the listing commission? But, if they say, hey, here's the information on the property, come by, take a couple pictures, of course, do whatever you need to. But that's totally okay. Just when you go there, two things: have a deal with the buyer, have your BAC all in place, and two is have what was I going to say? Have your communication with the seller, with the builder, in email or whatever, be clear and say, hey, listen, are you cutting me a commission? Am I cutting a commission from the buyer? You understand that I'm representing, and you name the buyer on this appointment. I'm representing John Smith. We're coming on this day. You understand that I'm his agent, and all deals will go through me. You have something showing that, in a very polite way, you've said to them, hey, we're coming here. I'm this guy's person. Also, you have your contract with the other guy, so whether they agree to it or not, this other, your buyers agreed to it. So that's totally cool. If they have an agent, if they have an agency relationship, your communication on that property is not with them; it's with that agent. And you just ask them, hey, listen, do you have exclusive representation on this property? With an agent. Yes or no. If yes, who is it? I got to talk to them. If no, okay, fine. Now, the weird part of that law is that so they may be a client with that realtor for that property. You can't talk to them about you being their realtor or agent. You're not a realtor. You're a licensee. You can't talk to them about being their agent on this property. However, it cannot stop you from talking to them about being their representative on another property.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You can't steal that property from the other agent, but there's nothing. I guess there's nothing wrong with. Although I would position this to this agent on Friday, but there's nothing wrong with Will Christian saying to the customer, "Hey, I'm not going to take you away from Will on this property, but I have one across the street." That's okay, because
basically just not interfering with the deal that's already in place.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So you can literally be sitting across the closing table. I had the situation. I was sitting across the closing table when I was a newbie agent, and the customer mentioned to me when their agent was out of the room that they wanted to talk about other actions. I stayed silent, kind of gave them, I kind of got who they were, got their information, but didn't take any action because I thought the rule was I couldn't steal them at all. I get back, my broker's like, no. He's like, call them up right now. You can't talk to them about that house. You can talk to them about anything else they want to do. So just keep that in mind. Will isn't supposed to steal them from you on that house, but paperwork or not. But with paperwork, you can't. But any other house is fair game. So if you go see them on this other property where they are represented, nothing stops you from saying, hey, are you represented on the rest of your deals? And any guy like that, any volume, multi-use investor type client, customer, we're always willing to negotiate commissions, but we're willing to very much negotiate with somebody who's going to be a volume customer. So just kind of, basically, obviously, if you only have to sell the customer once to get repeat business, I'm willing to cut my commission way down for that, because a repeat customer is worth a lot. A repeat customer saves me a lot of marketing money, basically. So all of that, so basically all of that is good ways to work with those investors, any kind of investor. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the other people you want to talk to at these meetups are the wholesalers who may or may not be licensed. And there's a few reasons for that. One is if they join our firm, you get a piece of every deal they close, of every deal we close from them, licensed or not. We're working in a very dark gray when we work with unlicensed people, but we still can, we still do, whether we can or not is the gray part. But if they get licensed, whatever, if you bring somebody in, I give you a piece of my side of the commission for every deal they do. So that kind of networking, more agents, whatever, great. There's a side deal there. But also the wholesalers may have deals they can't wholesale, may have properties that you may have buyers for. And we have a directory, which I'll show you in a minute, where you put your buyers in and they're your buyer. And you anybody in our group sells to them, you get a piece of money. I'm pretty much structuring everything so that even if you bring the buyer and Ryan sells to them, you still get a piece of the money. Or you bring a buyer and they want something from Ryan, you're dealing with that. Whatever. The point is, I try to plug everybody into whatever they provide. But the wholesalers can be useful to you in properties they can't wholesale because they can't get them at a price worth wholesaling. And they are also useful to you because of properties they might have that your buyers want. And also just in terms of general networking and whatever. So don't ignore the wholesalers. But really, you're there to meet the developers, the flippers, the landlords. Because landlords turn into tire landlords. Landlords have things where they want a 1031 exchange out. Like I'm just about to complete a 1031. Whereas I bought a building end of 24, middle of 24? Yeah, middle of 24. And by the end of 24, it was clear that it wasn't, by summer of 25, it was clear that it wasn't a fit for us. It wasn't renting as well as we hoped. It just wasn't performing as great. We found a buyer that wanted it. We made like 60 grand on the sale, so we had to do a 1031 exchange to protect, and we had to buy something else to protect that. So every landlord, every investor has a reason where they want to buy more or they want to sell. They always want to do something. And eventually they're going to get old and tired and want to be out of it. So meeting those landlords, going to landlord association meetings in your town. In my area, there are 7 meetups, like within 10 miles, which is like absurd. But I go to them at least once a quarter. I kind of rotate. And I go down as far as Lancaster and Lehigh Valley, and I go up as far as Binghamton. And just, hey, I'm here. And your business cards will be in next week, by the way. But hey, I'm here. Here's my business card. Anything we can do. And we put them in the system. And once in a while, the system reminds you every month or so, reach out to your people. And you send them a text message, send them an email, whatever. Because every investor wants to do something at some point. And they go with the one that is most visible. And the way you stay visible is those messages include some sort of market information. Hey, did you see the interest rates drop today? Hey, did you see, whatever, the trends are this, that. We have those, we can help you get those research materials. So that's kind of it on the investor side, I guess, for lack of a better term. Anything in there you've had a thought about or you've tried or any questions?
Not at the moment. I'm just trying to see. I'm working on just getting a client who's interested in buying or selling, and then how would I proceed if I got a client who wanted to list it on market? Like, would I use your MLS, right?
Yeah. Okay. So on that, if you got a client, so all of our agreements, like we're currently closing 3 or 4 around the state, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see, that are wholesales. All of our on markets and all of our wholesales, they're all technically listing agreements. We don't use the wholesale agreement because the seller can walk away from a wholesale agreement for any reason. So we use a listing version agreement. And so that means we have the right to put it on the MLS, whether or not we do. If they want to be on the MLS, then we have to either become, be, or find an MLS member in that community. Like if we got a client who wanted to list something in Erie, where I'm not, you're not, and probably would be very unreasonable for us to be a member of that board. Why spend $1,600 to make a 3% commission on, $200,000 would barely pay, or okay, whatever the number is, the point is it would barely pay to spend the $1,600 and then hope we sell something. That's the problem. The problem isn't if you sell it. If you sell it and you made 3% on 100,000, you've made more than your fee. You made more than the 1,600 board cost. If you pay the 1,600 board cost and you don't make the sale, you're out $1,600. So we would probably find an MLS member in that community and say, listen, we've done everything. We've got this, we've got that, we've got that. Or here's what we've done. We have this client. We have this signed up. We want to refer this business to you. And whether that's we take a third, they take a third, we 50-50, whatever the percentage is, we work that out. Or we go ahead and so basically, in order to get it on the MLS, we have to get to an MLS member, which is one of the reasons NAR, I think, is changing that rule about who can get MLS access, is because they realize a lot of people aren't using the MLS anymore. They're just going Zillow and Homes.com and blah, 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 blah. So if you as a non-realtor or a non-member of that board, like even if you were a member of some board down that way, and you caught a seller up here, you're not a member of the Scranton board. So I could list it for you. But the point is, you'd have to find a member of that board to put it on the MLS. So, but that's all it is. It's simply a matter of us working out a deal with the seller to say, hey, listen, we have an arrangement. We're your agent. And then if they say, hey, we really want to get on the MLS, then we figure out how to do that, whether that's join a board, find a member, whatever. Mm-hmm. And the elasticity of it, I may be saying this wrong, but the better discount the seller is willing to take on their property, the shorter of a listing period we're willing to do. Like our off markets are 4 to 6 weeks because we're getting them at such a discount that we're fairly confident we can make that happen. Mm-hmm. I had a lady yesterday who ended up having no interest in an agreement of any kind to market her property. She just got what she felt was burned on a deal. Whether she was or not, I can't speak to. There's just some intricacies there. But the point is, she had a realtor agreement she just terminated and does not wish to. All she wants is a walk in the door agreement. And I said to her, I said, well, at the price you need to get, you want to get a retail price. I said, I can't be your walk in the door agreement. I just can't. Because if I bought it from you for retail, what do I do with it to make money? So in her case, I said, we can list it for you. And you can go back through that horse, and work that. Or I wish you well and hope you find what you're looking for. I had another customer down in Pottsville. They were just done with the house. They were absolutely freaking done with it. And they were like, our mortgages for anything we pay, anything we get over for is a win. Sell this bleeping thing. And we sold it the next day we got the agreement with them for 12. We sold it the next day for 30. So that was a quick wholesale. So the lower price they go, the less you need MLS and realtor partnerships and whatever. Nothing, by the way, stops you because you're licensed and with a brokerage that is okay with wholesale. If you get a client, if you get a customer, if you get a property listing, again, we'll use Erie. You get an agreement on Erie, we don't have to MLS it. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but we don't have to. For us to email every single agent in Erie and say, hey, I have an off-market deal. Here's the information. Nothing stops us, and this is what we do very routinely, is we put it on Facebook and yada, yada, yada. It generates a buyer's list for us, which is when I texted you yesterday to get with Ryan about calling out the buyers that came in on this property in Mount Pocono. Ryan literally got 50 potentially interested buyers in 24 hours on this property. which tells me we listed it way the hell too low, but whatever. We're still making 20 grand. So the point is that you don't need, if you have a property in Erie, you can reach out to realtors directly and reach out to brokers directly and say, hey, listen, I have this. It's an off-market deal. I have it. Here's the details. And I'll work with you on how that gets worded. So you don't. So all I'm saying is, if you caught a seller, it may or may not need to be MLS. But if it was MLS, the trick is somebody has to be a member to get it on the board. Some boards, and this is where the whole association system is kind of screwed up. Some boards have a one-time fee, where they'll say, "Give us $500 and you can put a property on our MLS." It's very board specific, and the problem is some boards are big, like Bright MLS is pretty much Allentown to Virginia, and I think it even like plows right through Philly. And some boards are like 10-mile radius, 15, 20-mile radius. It's just, every board can be whatever they were. And historically, the boards were created back in the days of people walking down the street and walking into their local real estate office. Historically, the boards were like the Hazleton Chamber of Commerce, the Reading Chamber of Commerce. And that's all, I'm sorry, the Reading Association of Realtors, not Chamber of Commerce, the Reading Association of Realtors. And they did the city of Reading. And the next city had its own association. So every board can do whatever the hell they want. Mm-hmm. So to kind of bring it back to a tactical, if you get a property that wants listing, we just have to get to a member or become a member. But it doesn't necessarily need that. If you want to go alternative, there's a bunch of alternatives of how to market a property. Now the other ways. Now, do you have PropStream and stuff, or did you not have that?
No, I use PropWire. It's free. I just pay for the skip tracing. But
okay.
I'm trying to take care of some personal stuff and get that over it. I need a new phone and everything, and then I'll be fully invested into getting more quality leads and stuff.
Well, so I've invested. So we have batch leads, and we have a generic team username and password, which I'm creating over the holiday. I'm creating a website just for us to private. I won't password protect it. I'll just not share but only we'll have the link. And we have a membership with batch leads. So you'll have, we have 8 seats, I guess, for lack of a better term, on batch leads. One of them, my generic, I've called a team seat. Everybody has access to it. The other 5 like 3 of them I've already given out to my partners, and the other few I haven't figured out what to do with yet. Maybe whatever. But the point is, you have a login to batch leads. Batch leads has a dialer, not a power dialer. It's just a single line, like quick dialer. It has free skip tracing up to, I think, $1,000 a month or something absurd. You can do comping of properties. You can do all sorts of finding of potential whatever. We have a similar package in the self-storage universe, and as I've told you, a similar package in the land universe. So you don't have to invest in those things, is what I'm saying. If you choose to, like some people like deal machines, okay, if you choose to do something else, that's fine. And one of our guys actually maintains a PropStream, I think. A PropStream account. So if you wanted PropStream, you and he could probably work it out rather than you spending any money out of your pocket for those things. Again, if you chose to invest, that's totally within your thing. But I don't want to see you have to spend money to get deals until you're starting to making money. That's kind of what what I'm trying to avoid having happen. So batch leads is pretty straightforward. You can look up a property. You can do some driving routes. You can do some driving routes stuff. You can do agent outreach. You can do a lot of stuff. You can Google batch leads and you can kind of see what all it does. And so I will today send you the login for here so you can generate leads. We also have leads that we can share with you. So we have 2. I just figured out how to. I shouldn't say just got. We have these couple services that we've paid for. One is real estate fees, something
Oh, real
else.
estate bees. I wanted to try them out. They're pretty
So
cool.
we're already a member with them. We're a member with like 3 of those kinds of associations, or whatever they're called. Those kinds of lead businesses,
Mhm.
where they send us drip feeds. And truthfully, we've done a horrible job distributing those to our team. So again, I've just figured out how to do that. Where we're gonna, when they come into my email address, they're gonna get plopped out to you guys. And I've been meaning to do it. So whatever this, I'm getting that figured out, so that when we get a lead from them, and you'll have our real estate bees login,
Mhm.
so that like we have this whole, like I said, a spreadsheet of logins. And so when you get the real estate bees email or the other ones, it'll have some of the information, but then you'll have to log in to get all the information. You'll have our login.
Okay.
So I also have some downloads that I did, because we also have a software called Tract IQ, which is effectively batch leads for self-storage, pretty much. Self-storage happens to be one of my personal focuses. That's why we have it. But we have created some call lists here, which is locally owned self-storage facilities. And you can start calling them right away. And the difference there is, so the scripting that I'll send you today, and this is what I'm kind of walking through, is, and I'm again making a Google Drives to make it easier for everyone to say, oh, I lost that script. Well, it's all here. The conversation with a seller in the wholesale or whatever world, I think you know this, is, why are you selling? What's your interest? Very conversational, very friendly. What's your pinch point? But also, tell me about the property. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many units, how old's the roof, how old's the furnace? And as you know, in those conversations, it's, how old is the roof? Not that old. Oh, can I don't know, 5 years. Okay, so who was president? Reagan. Okay, probably not 5 years ago. So you keep that conversation friendly and light. In the self-storage universe, obviously the questions are way different. And the other thing in the self-storage universe, usually when you call the facility, you get some worker. You don't get the owner. So you've got to kind of get through that. You got to get through to the owner. I don't know how else to say it. You got to get through the owner. Some of these downloads include the owner information, some don't. But basically, we have a whole different scripting for that. Now, all you're needing to do in either case, and you'll learn further on both, don't get me wrong, but in either case, you're collecting information so that you and I can work the rest of the deal until you're comfortable. Everything is, and understand that I don't expect you to fly on your own, even on these initial phone calls, until you feel like you're ready. If you say, hey, Steve, in the next hour, I want to make 100 phone calls or whatever, I'll be available, and you get somebody on the phone, you can three-way me right in.
I was thinking about using AI, because there's like AI cold calling that I can do, because I'll be going to work, because I need more volume, and I found this thing called REI Reply. It actually is pretty good, and it's going to help me do more volume, because I go to work at the end of the day, so I'm trying to get more volume and then help me manage that. REI Reply, you can I think you can put in leads and then it'll cold call it for you.
Okay, so before you sign up with anything, and I'm not telling you not to. All I'm saying is, we have Go High Level, which has an AI calling center, which we're going to start launching in sometime in the new year. I'm having that built over the holiday, so Go High Level will do the cold calling. And I'm not saying REI Reply may be better. I want to look into it before I commit on Go High Level. But Go High Level is our CRM, so the idea is to keep it within that.
I think that they have that on there. I think I saw Go High Level on that.
Yeah. Well, and Go High Level also has its own cold calling. Go High Level also has its own AI calling, AI inbound. So the short version is, I mean, if you want to invest in a tool, great. We'll certainly help you with it, and we'll connect it with everything. But
Yeah.
if we're already doing the AI cold calling, you're welcome to use it and just pay. You know, if you pay anything, we'll take out of your commission the cost of your calls.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not saying don't use it. I never heard of this one before. There's so many of them now.
Yeah.
Now the guy that I know who's a very, very large wholesaler, he's made multiple. He's done very well in it. He uses the Go High Level Center, but he did not until the last 6 months. He was all Go High Level. He's never used Go High Level AI for the last 6 months because he didn't find it conversational enough. He found the latency to be the biggest problem. Meaning, you say something and then AI has to consider it, and like 4 or 5 seconds later, AI is ready to respond.
Okay.
It just didn't sound human enough. Like the voices also didn't, but really, he's like, the voices didn't bother me because accents are a thing. But he's like, what bothered me was latency. So yes, AI.
Tested this one out.
What?
Yeah, they have a demo on the website. I tested it out on. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I'll send you. And again, I'm not saying I'm open because we just decided now to commit to this. Cold calling. So like, I'm open if it's not Go High Levels, because everyone's going to connect with Go High Level, because Go High Level is the elephant in the CRM game. So everyone's going to work with them. So I'm not afraid of that. And if there's a better CRM, I'll even switch that. But basically, all I'm saying is, you want to invest, go for it. But all I'm saying is that, let's work together on things like AI tools, because I doubt that you're going to, I know I will not use the full capacity in terms of volume of calls of what anybody's package uses. So you probably won't either. So it's better we collaborate on it. And again, I'm not stating that I'll look. I mean, this one looks good. I'll have to go deeper on it. But yes, AI cold calling. Also, I'm considering, and we've not succeeded well in this space in the past, but I think we've used the wrong players for it. Go ahead.
Oh no.
I'm considering hiring some live virtual assistant callers, and I'm down to about 3 companies. What we've done in the past is we went with our something global, can't think of the name, something global, and they were a managed voice calling company. And basically, and we've also hired AI, or not AI, but real VA overseas callers, and neither one has worked out. And what we found is that their callers just weren't delivering. They were doing a volume of calls, but nothing was coming of it. And I'm talking right now to 3 different companies of live callers that will do, like in the case of this woman, Jennifer, who a couple of my friends use, and I follow her on Facebook and whatever, $1,300 a month, and we have a 40-hour a week cold caller. Their data, their targeting, blah, 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 blah. And Jennifer's very successful in this, and 2 of my associates use her. But they do everything. They pull the lists, they pay for the leads, they make the phone calls, yada yada. They basically hand you a thing and say, Tuesday at 2:00 you're talking to this person. Put it right on your calendar. Here's everything we learned on the property, and here's what we think about it. So I'm also looking at probably investing in that by the end of the year as well. So yeah, I mean all of this, because I'm in the same boat. I don't get a lot of time every day to make calls. Absolutely. And we're all of us on the team. And that's what I've learned over the last few months with the team we have, is that the actual initial cold calling, nobody either has the time to do or really wants to do. So I'm saying, okay, AI, live human, how do we do it? So now that I understand that's where you want to be heading, let's talk about the exact tool to use. Just to save you the money, right? Split it with you. If it's this REI site, we'll split it with you, whatever. Does that work for you, or you have a different idea?
I was just trying to. I might try like REI reply, and then maybe like transition over time. I want to see how the conversation does on Go High Level. I want to see the comparison, because I've talked to this for a while, like to test its limits. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen. If you're comfortable with REI reply and you want to split, if you want to do the service on your own, go for it. If you want to split the service, I'm willing to split it with you.
Mhm.
Because I don't care. You know, I don't care who the call center is. I don't care who the AI is. I just want to start turning more deals
Yeah.
because that's really all it is. So you'd be, short version is if you want to do REI reply on your own, great. You want to team up on it, great. The most important thing in any of this, when you're doing outbound, cold outbound outreach, is what your list is and how you form your list, how you target your list. What motivation stacks, they call them, basically what pinch points are you using? Pre-foreclosure is always good. Stacking them is good too. I like vacant. I like absentee owner, which is separate. Vacant means there's nobody there. That one's, the question is, how do they determine what's vacant? Absentee owner, out-of-state owner. Pre-foreclosures is definitely a growing sector. There will be a lot more foreclosures coming. Length of ownership, then you get into parts where I find, and everyone has their shtick that works. I mean, some people stick by bandit signs. Some people stick by postcards. Some people stick by whatever. Like, I've got a good friend who does all high equity. That's his list. It's basically show me high equity, because his logic is somebody with a lot of equity is going to want to cash out on that equity. I don't disagree with that, but I don't see personally, my experience has been, and he does well, I do well, so whatever, that high equity, they don't have a lot of motivation to sell. They're not desperate to sell. They'll sell for a price that liquefies their equity, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would rather the guy who's in a little bit of trouble, who's got a reason. So whenever you're doing a call list, whenever you're doing a postcard list, that what motivators you're using are important, basically. And also in the licensed world, units 1, 2, 3, and 4, within Pennsylvania, our licenses are important, but that doesn't stop us from wholesaling in other states. So, we can have that whole conversation about places outside of PA to go. But yeah, so I mean, if you like the REI reply, that's great. Obviously you spend a lot of time looking into them.
I'm trying to get, like, one of my biggest issues is volume. I've been calling manually, and I need to reach thousands of people at a time rather than a couple, like hundreds. Because, like, sometimes I will spend all day calling and I would only reach 30 people. So I'm not doing enough volume enough to get someone to close a deal. So that's my main issue.
And listen, that's exactly why, because for the last 4 years or so, until the last, we're still doing quite well, but years ago, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. Like, 10 calls would get 10 yeses, basically, not 10, whatever. There's too many people wholesaling. There's too many people and you're absolutely right. This is a volume game. So it's totally about getting more volume. That's all any of this is. And that's where I struggle personally, because guess what? I'm doing brokers level stuff. I'm not on this. It's very easy to get distracted and not do, because it sucks doing phones. There's no other way to put it. It sucks getting hung up on. It sucks not reaching someone. It sucks finding out they're not interested. And it's just hard to dial hundreds and hundreds of lines. So yes. So basically, you tell me. I'm willing to split REI reply with you. Whatever you want to do it on your own, that's fine. I'm also I'm trying to save you money. I'll even pay for our REI reply. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm willing to pay the $99. Try it for a few months.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. You do that and then just take it out the commission. Um,
And
I
listen, if the deals come in, I don't care.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if you're comfortable with REI Reply, because clearly you've done the research in this area with them that I haven't. So
Mhm.
I'll sign up with them today. I'll sign them up and we'll try it for a few months.
Okay.
Um,
I'm
and,
gonna
and, and go ahead.
I'm gonna get a list of leads to use to put it in. I still have to use the platform because they have like a training videos and stuff to how to use it. So
Okay.
I'm gonna get some leads for it because I'm trying to get at least like a few thousand leads to
Yep.
for it to work with.
And that's where back to the pinch points. And again, this is 99 a month is a great price because this is an experimental game of what pinch points work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also we are, also built also when we're on the phone with them, whatever. Basically, giving a good path for credibility. One of the biggest things you have going for you that all of our non-licensed guys don't have is they're not licensed. And when you talk to these folks, part of the conversation is, I'm a licensed agent. I'm not trying to be your realtor. I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
buy. I'm here. What you want to reassure them is because many of them are going to have the I don't want to deal with a realtor. No. I'm telling you, I'm licensed. Therefore, I have more qualifications than somebody else you might be speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You're coming in and saying I'm licensed. Everything's legal. It's legit. Da, da, da. It's confidence building. But basically, yeah. Okay. So we've covered pinch points. We've covered the call center. I'll do the REI reply today. It's important that you have a. I'll cover the other basic stuff. It's important that you have a Facebook business page
Yeah.
that is all real estate all the time. And I drift on this. I use my personal page more than I should. I'm switching back to using my REI homepage page for most of my communications. But the reason you want that is you keep all your family stuff separate and you're posting as the real estate expert. You're posting messages and you're posting and I can give you content and whatever we can, But the point is, every day, every couple of days, they're seeing something real estate related from you. And when they, from a look-see standpoint, technically, yes, you have to have Guerrilla Real Estate, the 798 number, Steve Franco broker on your header. And, that's, again, back to the Friday thing, that's where Will screwed up. He violated by not identifying his broker when asked. But you don't need to refer to that every time. You just have that on your header and be like, that's a non-issue. The point is that you have that. Consider having a separate phone line just for this, like a Google Voice or something, so that when that number rings, that number is real estate. Now, I'm going to open up my Ring Central account here because we have a business. This is not our business line, just to be clear. We have a where's Ring Central? There it is. We have a phone number which is answered. Oh, come on. We have a phone number which is answered 24/7 with a live human answering it. And so this 570-252 number I'm going to give you, you can use as well as sort of a fallback number because 24/7 there's a live. I think it's 24/7. There's a live VA answering it. And so, and all she'll do is take a message and pass it over to us. But the point is, you're welcome to use it. Use it, don't use it, whatever. You're welcome to use it. It's here. It's actually part of my management company. So basically, this is another way of, as soon as people answer this 252-2238 number here. This number is the one that has the live person always calling, always sitting there and answering. The answer is Crimson Cape rather than Guerrilla Real Estate. So either way, it's my company. The point is, any sales calls get forwarded to us. Just know that that's there. All right. So what other thoughts? So we're gonna do. So what other thoughts or questions do you have?
Kind of froze a little bit. 1 second.
Okay.
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's the 570 number, by the way.
Okay.
I don't know why it won't let me.
Oh, that's the number I use for the Gorilla Real Estate.
So good question there. So Guerrilla Real Estate's number, meaning when on your business card you'll see it, and anywhere you put it up, is Guerrilla Real Estate 570-798-7051. That's the brokerage firm number. That's on your card. That's on your Facebook header. That's on all of your communications. Because technically, the state wants you to identify as a licensee to anyone you're doing real estate with, even if it is wholesale or whatever. What they're asking to do is, and here's a perfect example. This was my own wife who had this issue. Was she's got the management company very well strung out and organized with a call center and a maintenance line and whatever. Well, something happened where that system got broken. A tenant did it differently, and it ended up over here. And the maintenance answering service didn't have my number. They tried to reach her. They couldn't reach her. They didn't have my number. I said, you have to give 798 to everyone. If they can't reach you, that's what I'm here for. I'm still the fallback. So the 570-798-7051 needs to be within reason, not like, whatever, visible everywhere. And the state says it has to be equally prominent is the terminology. Meaning basically use the same font size. Your number, my number, same font size. So this number is, and how you use this, if you use this number is simply, hey, maybe this is on your voicemail. Hey, if you can't reach me, if leave a message, or if you need to speak to somebody urgently, here's our 24-hour answering line, 570-252, whatever. And then it goes from there. And that girl, just to not confuse her, she has my 798 number. If it's not management, it comes to me, and then I'll route it over. Eventually, we'll make a better plan. I'll have like a whole. I'll have our own VA or whatever. But right now, at least there's a human who can capture it, and she'll know how to do it. So the 798 is the main number. And the same thing with your email. You should have a business email account. It doesn't have to say you have a Will at Guerrilla Real Estate, or you only use Will or William?
Will.
Well, okay. So you have Will. I forget if I do Will or Will J. I have to look it up and I'll send it to you. I just did this last night at guerrillarealestate.net. And all that does is forward to your Gmail account. You can set it up with a whole, Outlook or whatever. It can do that too. But right now, if somebody sends something to Guerrilla for you, it ends up with you. And you also have one with Hunting for Homes as well, because that's our wholesale division. But just use Guerrilla; it just makes more sense. Yeah. So basically, so the other ways. Let me kind of circle back and then see if you. So the other ways to getting buyers, if you have a deal that's good. Getting buyers is easy. If you have an area where you think you want more buyers, it is totally acceptable to hang maybe a Facebook ad or something saying 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Philadelphia. Anyone interested, send me a message. And all of a sudden you'll have a lot of people, and you'll get their names and information, and you can find out more about them. And you can help them find deals. I'm not I respect people who love being buyer's agents a lot. I don't love being. I will be a buyer's agent. I don't love being a buyer's agent because if I have 123 Main Street as a listing, anybody that wants 123 Main Street has to go through me. If I have a buyer, I either have to find them a house, and then I've got the whole lot of the exclusive buyer, non-exclusive buyer. But basically, you want to find buyers, a good deal will find a buyer. Any of our listings will find a buyer. Yeah. So,
that's.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was saying
Okay.
A lot of people find buyers first, and it's like a mix up. But yeah, I think good deals are better.
Well, and there is a strong argument to be made, and this is and I have a few of these guys. Is if you have a good investor who comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to find this kind of property in this kind of area," exclusive is better, but even non-exclusive. What's called reverse wholesaling or reverse, or buyer's agency in the brokerage world is great. You have somebody who says, "Hey, listen, I want to find, 2 to 5 unit properties or I want to find rental properties, residential, whatever it is. Here's my criteria." And then you can go find them properties. That's wonderful. Because you can, and by finding them properties, you can find them online, or now you've got someone to go shopping for. It's kind of like a personal shopper. Hey, I'm looking to buy car washes in Lancaster County. All right, well, great. Now you can call every car wash in Lancaster County and see who wants to sell. I have, and you're welcome to work this guy right now because he would be. I have a Hindu Indian client who actively wants to. Actually, I have 2 of them who actively want to buy convenience stores pretty much anywhere in eastern Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much within 100 miles of Danville, mostly eastern wise, but whatever. And truthfully, I don't have time to call every beer store, convenience store, yada yada yada. But that's a captive audience. That's a captive audience he wants to buy, and he would prefer to buy through us. But I'm sure he would buy otherwise. But basically, he's a good buyer. He's ready to purchase.
Well, I know a lot of abandoned areas that I can skip trace.
Yep.
I see a lot of abandoned places like that, like commercial properties. Does he do?
Exactly.
Would he do commercial?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, for him, okay. So for him, his name is Chris Patel. And by the way, Patel and Shah in the Indian Hindu community, it's like Smith or Jones. It's like their generic last name that there's 4 trillion of them. So just because you know a Patel doesn't mean they know each other. I literally made that mistake. I'm like, "Oh, you're Chris Patel." Yeah. You're James Shah. Do you know Rangesh? And he's like, "No, there's a million Shahs in the world, or a billion, literally a billion Shahs in the world." So so this guy he'll accept it if it comes. He'll do rare residential, but he'll accept a residential. If he bought a building for me that was a bar downstairs that he turned into a convenience store and an apartment upstairs. He didn't really want the apartment, but he wanted the location. He's bought a couple singles for me near his stores, but he doesn't love that. I have another guy who's chef. It's some other last name. It's not either one of those. And he's all about residential, but they're in the Hindu community. And the other thing is when you're in that community, now understand that at no point should you ever have a racial or cultural conversation like Indians or this. But in that community, those cultures, and I mean the Chinese, I mean the Hindus, are very close knit. And if you're trusted by one of them, you will quickly gain trust of the rest of them. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to say, when I met Chris. No, it wasn't Chris. I met Shreth through Rangesh. And Rangesh and I have a long history together, some of it good, some of it bad. But he still recommends his friends to me, or me to his friends. So and instantly there's that connection. So if you end up working in a culture, they stick together. I always made the joke to Chris and to Rangesh, white people don't have that. Okay, so, the Italians kind of have that a little bit, but what you guys have is wonderful. They will loan each other money for projects, and you'll find that they are very, like Chris Patel knows the convenience store, beer store, what I call the sin industry, because they sell the things they can't actually consume. And that's his niche. He's like, this is me. His friend or cousin or whatever is all motels. That's what they know. And when you find that buyer, like now I know, I'll give you Chris, and you find Chris, you find, hey Chris, got an abandoned beer store. Hey Chris, I got an active beer store. He wants to buy the beer store in Bloomsburg. They've never wanted to talk about a deal. But if you call them, eventually they will. If you build that relationship with that beer store, he wants that beer store. He's wanted it for 2 years.
Well, I know a lady who has a car detailing business. She wants to rent it, but she wants to rent it to it's going to be for a car businessman. So that's a buyer that I have, and she's looking to rent for like 1,500.
Okay. So basically, if you've got her, so I'm glad you brought that up. So if you've got her, first of all, try to get a listing agreement with her that makes you her listing agent to find her that tenant. And then what?
I think she's a buyer. She's looking to buy. So
I thought you said, she has a detailing business. She's looking for a location for it. I'm sorry.
No, she owns a car detailing property, and she's looking to rent it out to a businessman who needs it. So basically, she owns it, but she wants to rent it out. But it's best for a businessman who does car businesses.
Right. So basically, So she'd be a great listing client for you.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, listing can be a rental listing. Okay. Listing doesn't necessarily mean sell.
Okay, yeah.
So you just want to get some agreement with her, preferably an exclusive one, preferably a listing agreement that says, hey, listen, let me handle the exclusive looking for your person. Now, and then we work out commissions and all the stuff that go with it. Rental is a great way. I mean, rental commissions are obviously small. They're typically 3%. They're typically 1 month or 3% of the overall commission, because the overall rent. Because if they're doing a 5-year lease, obviously 1 month rent isn't fair. You should, whatever. So the 1 month is more residential. The 3% of the whole is more of a commercial number. Mm-hmm. But basically, yes. I mean, you get that agreement, and you promote that opportunity. If she won't give you an exclusive, we are required by law to have written agreements for anything we're going to promote with the principal in charge. So if she won't give you an exclusive, we just have to have her sign something or give us something in writing that says you are authorized to do this promotion, and compensation is protected. Because if we start promoting things with nothing, there is actually a violation there. And when I was a Cub wholesaler, I almost got totally my butt kicked. One partner in the business told me to do it. The other partner, who was a New York State attorney, told me all the bad things that could happen if I didn't take that offline right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So now if she won't sign anything, lets you and I talk, I think as long as we get an email from her or some message saying, hey, listen, this is where it is. This is what I want for it. As long as we have something to prove it, we didn't just make it up.
So how do rental listings work? I'm curious about that.
So they're really the exact same thing. They can be on market or off market. They can be MLS or not MLS. They can be any of the above, basically. And you have a listing agreement. And in the PAR world, it's a slightly different listing agreement. It just says rental rather than sale. And it's talking percentage of rent or whatever rather than whatever. And basically, the landlord has said, find me a tenant. Or in some cases, find me a tenant and be my manager. By the way, we could be, if you chose to do it, property management is a thing we could talk about. You have to be a licensee to do that too. And really, it's the exact same process of get an agreement, take pictures, do the write-ups, promote it, whether MLS or not, and go that way. It's also a great way to that, and management are a great way to get in with the owner, because eventually it is reasonably extremely possible that eventually she's going to want to sell or buy something else.
Yeah.
And so you've been her rental agent for so long, you've managed her, maybe you've managed for her, you've done whatever. She now knows you. Why wouldn't she proceed to sell for you or whatever? Also, very often in the commercial space, especially, a rental agreement will have built into it either a purchase agreement, an option, or a first right of refusal. And so when that happens, we try to get in our agreement with the parties, whichever party we're working with, that we get a piece of that deal too. So like my friend Chris bought, so backing up, I represented Rangesh in the, so let me give you, so Rangesh has been running a gas station on the same property as a car wash for 20 years, way before I knew him. And I got to work a lot with Rangesh, and we did a bunch of deals together. And then the owner of the property wanted to sell, and Rangesh called me up to represent him. Very grateful he did. He had no reason to. He could have just, went to the listing agent, whatever. We got that deal done, and in the mix of that, Rangesh arranged to sell the business of the beer store to Chris, not the property of the beer store, like the convenience store and beer store and gas station, the business and stuff, but not the land. In that agreement, Rangesh put me in as the agent for when Chris, or if Chris decides to exercise the option to buy the property. Now, it's a tiny commission. It's like 0.5%. But it's 0.5% of something that sold for $1.3 million in 2019.
Yeah.
So I basically have gone from nothing to do with that portion of Rangesh's business to getting a commission when he bought the property to having some future. I got nothing of the sale of the beer store. But at some future time, if Chris decides to buy the property, I get, they basically chosen me as being his representative. So I get a multiple bites of that apple. And believe me, Rangesh and I have had some situations where we don't think each other did so well by each other. He one time cut one of my commissions in half the day before closing. But the point is that by starting this relationship with her or any landlord, it could grow into something much bigger. And if nothing else, you know what? You get, let's say the rental is $1,500. Great, you get first month's rent. You get $1,500 for finding our tenant. That's still not bad. So I mean, what questions did you have about rental listings? I mean, I'm not sure if I answered them or not.
No, not much.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to find a good luxury listing in somewhere in PA and get a good deal. The buyer that I have, she's looking for properties from like 200 to 300. So if you guys have anything that under contract, I could refer you to her. Like,
is she a residential buyer? She wants a house? Is she?
Yeah, I think residential. And she's a Chinese one. She's pretty serious. So
okay. And the Chinese are, I mean, again, many cultures are this. I'm not pulling them out, but the Chinese are another culture where they're very knowledgeable, very precise.
Yeah.
And almost bluntly, almost never fuck around.
Yeah,
like
and I don't want to waste their time. Yeah.
If they come to you and say, I want this, now it may take, dog's age to to bring them what they want, but
Yeah.
they're not playing games. Israelis, and again, I'm not saying any culture plays games, but these cultures are different, clear. So with a residential buyer, where she wants it, is very critical of what she's looking for. And again, you need to get a consumer notice and preferably buyer agency relationship with her. And again, we would love her to be us to be her exclusive.
Yeah.
But anything that says you have the relationship of what you send to her, you're going to get paid. So we don't end up, on the outside.
Yeah, she's also she's not picky about what she wants to buy. She said anything between 200 and 300, and if it's a good deal, then it's okay.
Now, when she said what defines a good deal for her?
I'm not sure. She said it doesn't matter. If it's a deal, it's a deal. So if we can make her profit, it doesn't matter. It's one of those types of buyers, I guess.
Okay, so if she's talking profit, then she's not talking. Okay, so let's do this. Let's set up a time to talk to her, so I can show you. This is a perfect mentorship opportunity. When you get these folks, we should do a 3-way call, so I can show you how to learn more about what they want, because there's nothing wrong with them being not precise, but at the same time, she's saying between 200 and 300 if it's a deal, if it makes profit. Okay. How does she define that? And here's what I mean by that, right?
I was saying that's the thing. I asked her that already. It's just she just didn't care. Like she said, it doesn't matter as long as it's a deal. So
okay, but I mean, yeah. So a couple of things, and if you've already crossed these bridges, then we don't need to do a conference call.
Yeah.
But is she talking multifamily residential? Is she talking single family residential? Is she talking mixed use? Is she talking commercial?
Multifamily would be good. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then does she care about geography?
Probably in Philadelphia, I guess.
Okay. All right.
He owns a property in Philadelphia already, so
yeah. And so basically ask her because obviously that's important to say to her, hey, listen, you already own 123 Main Street, Philly. I don't know if there is a Main Street in Philly, but whatever. How far out should I be looking? Should I look into Jersey? Should I look into Delaware? Should I look into the southeastern counties, or are you simply a Philadelphia buyer? And obviously she's
okay as well because she owns a commercial property. So
okay, yeah, all right. So basically, she's the perfect one, and I'll send you the buyer's form to fill in what she is as a buyer, so we keep her. And and right now, I mean, she's a good one. First of all, try to get a consumer notice, try to get an agency relationship with her. She may or may not. But just say to her, listen, I want to send you deals, but I just want something that understands that, if I send you something, it's mine. Hopefully she's okay. Hopefully she's professional enough. If she's not, my rule is this: I will try to get the paperwork. If I don't have paperwork, I'm not getting in my car. I'll talk to you all day long, but I'm not getting in my car.
Mm-hmm.
So this. You need to start now, not just within the CRM and filling out our form, but you need to start like a spreadsheet or something where you keep these people, and you every couple days look down the list and say, who haven't I talked to? Who can I, who haven't I researched with yet? And we can then also put out feelers to agents we know in the area and wholesalers we know down that way. Say, hey, who has what? Kind of thing. And I mean, she's a perfect reverse wholesaling client. She's told you what she's looking for, close enough, And here's the numbers you want to collect on the deal. When you call her up with something, here's what she's going to ask you probably fairly quickly. Don't just say, hey, okay, so here's the thing. If you don't have a written relationship, don't necessarily give her the address. Because if you give her the address, she can go around you and you got nothing. You say, hey, I found a 3-unit in Philadelphia. And this is okay. So you found a 3-unit in Philadelphia. You've looked at some pictures. You've run some comps. You found out some rental information on it of what it might rent for. And then you're calling her up and saying, hey, found a 3-unit in Philadelphia. It's partially rented. One apartment at $1,000 a month. The other 2 will probably rent for about the same amount. Everything works. It's kind of outdated. It's kind of dumpy. It's in this neighborhood or whatever. Give her an area without giving her an address. And they're looking for 250, which if they didn't pay my commission, you would owe another 7,000, so you'd be, let's say, 260 or something. And or you just give her the number and say, if they're looking for 250, and it's not, and you're not sure if there's a listing agent commission, you say, probably get it for around 260 or so. So you're building yourself into the price. Their price is 250. You built something in. And hey, do you want to talk more about it? And at that point, before we go any further, before we go much further, we understand that we get a relationship. We get a signature on something. So she's and also that will give you a lot of information. About if this doesn't fit her. Okay, why? I'm just can you sort of tell me how you think about stuff? And one of the things you'll learn, like if you were to present me a deal, because I that's one of my profiles that I'm open to buying, except up here, is because I take out 30% for maintenance vacancy management pad, which are soft costs basically. What everybody else is going to think is worth 300,000, I'm going to think is worth 2, because I'm taking a chunk out. So if you say to her, hey, she's like, well, at 3,000 a month, it doesn't really make sense for me because the math doesn't work because of my maintenance vacancy management pad or because of whatever. Or, we have a guy right now who wants us to take a property in Philly. That's actually my next phone call. It's a gut job. It is gutted. There is no plaster in the building. And this might be for her. If we can get it under contract, this might be for her. But she might look at it and say, I don't want a gut job. When I sold this house down in Pottsville, we got for 12, we sold for 30. One of our regular buyers down there came over and looked at it. He's like, oh, Steve, he said, I hate to tell you, but I'm not looking for something this serious right now. I'm looking for a lipstick job. Okay, great. I now know more about what you're thinking about. So even if she doesn't like what you present her, you'll learn more about what she's looking for. Mm-hmm. And even if you have nothing to present to her, every week or so, check in and say, hey, I'm still looking. Has anything changed with you? Have you seen the new, reports on the new interest rates? Maybe not every week, maybe every couple of weeks. Just stay in her face, stay visible.
Yeah.
And say to her, and this is where I would love to, this is why I want to pass to you and Anthony, a few of my other more active guys. Chris wants something. I know what Chris wants now. I don't personally want to be the buyer's agent looking for it. So between you and Anthony, somebody please find Chris a deal, or I'll give and Anthony hasn't really followed up with Chris, and maybe you will. But the point is, but basically the point is, like, the more you know about her, what she's looking for, the more you're visible to her. Mm-hmm. That's truthfully how Rangesh folded me into the purchase of his car wash property where the gas station was located. It's because he and I talked almost every other day, or at least even if we didn't, it was like, once a month. There'd be some reach out, some communication.
So you have a good network of buyers, right? Because
yeah,
I could I'll feel more comfortable looking for properties, because before I was looking for both. So if I could focus on finding good deals, then that would be a good system to set up. I find something and then refer it to you guys.
Yep. And just you said refer it, so I want to be clear. Like, you would be the listing person, mm-hmm. Or probably if it's a wholesale, we're doing it as a team effort, and we're simply splitting committee. But the point is, you're not referring it out in any way. It's still saying internal, but also, yes, we have a good list of buyers, but also the truth of the matter is, we don't need buyers to find a buyer. Like when we got our first deal in Pottsville 3 years ago, which is a dumpy town just south of Tamaqua, north of Reading. We didn't even know where Pottsville was on the map, let alone have any buyers there. But we looked at the local comps and said, okay, well, it's going to be worth this. And we did the math, and it's worth this finish. The flipper has to be into it for no more than this. The repairs look like they're about that. Okay, great, if we get it for this. and we had 10 buyers within a week show up at the property and one of them purchased it.
Yeah.
So now we have 10 buyers in Pottsville. So we have buyers everywhere, and we have a network of people who can help us get buyers. But also, if the deal is good, and this is why when you're talking to a seller, we'll work together on what that number should be, because the right deal will bring the money every single time. That's the bottom line. And when you're dealing with a seller, I'll switch it to a listing conversation. One of the conversations, like I had with this lady yesterday, her property was dipped in gold, which it pretty much was dipped in gold, but as a flipper, whatever I could do to it, it's going to max out for a sale at $400,000. That's just where it's going to be. And she wanted $350, and she wasn't willing. She's like, maybe I'll take $340. And I said, well, I can be your listing agent. I can't be your buyer. He said, why? I said, because I'd lose money on it. By the time I pay my lender and I pay my this and I pay my that, I can sell. Even if I sell it at $4, I don't make any money. So we work with the seller to say, hey, listen, you want to sell fast? You got to, to a certain extent, you're going to sell fast. You have a better price. So yes, so any seller you get, we have lots of buyers all over the state, and we have relationships with other people who have lots of buyers all over the state.
Mm-hmm.
So and even without that, if the deal is sweet, there's always the money for it. Yeah. So basically, all of that, yeah, we can help you with that, and that's all. Will be soon all in our buyers directory. And it looks like at this rate, the developers are going to be till the end of January on this one. Every time we add a new property that is ready and under contract into our database, it'll automatically be mailed out to all of our buyers. Every time a new buyer joins our database, they will get a list of all of our properties. Plus, our properties will be publicly promoted, on our website and stuff. So, yeah. So basically, we can definitely help you with all that.
Okay.
I guess the last. So have you got anybody else you've been talking to that you want to kind of go over?
Nothing so far. I'm just trying to get to the next deal. That's all. Yeah, I just need more volume, and I want to get some leads.
All right, so I'll sign up for the AI calling center today. So a few other categories. So driving for dollars or virtual driving for dollars are definitely a good way to find targets. And yes, there are AI softwares that'll do this too, that I have not tried. I'm certainly open to trying them, but I've not tried them. And driving for dollars is obvious. You're driving around town and something looks vacant, something looks unloved. A for rent sign, especially a faded for rent sign on a single family house is not a bad target, because the one thing about a single family house that's vacant is that house is losing money today because it's empty. There's only one rent. It's empty. The virtual driving for dollars is basically Google Maps or some variation where you're flying over a community, and yes, the satellite pictures are outdated, but you're seeing something that's dilapidated and you're going for it. Self-storage is another category where virtual driving for dollars works, because self-storage facilities are the drive-up self-storages are very visible from the air. They all look the same. Those long, narrow buildings, a certain number of feet apart. If they don't have a website, if they don't have a Google Dot on them, they're even more interesting. But you can fly over and find that. We have buyers for self-storage nationwide. Mobile home parks too, to a lesser extent, my buyer collection, but they're also very visible from the air. We talked about the landlord meetups and the meetups, and also any kind of a landlord association or whatever. I don't mean joining them necessarily, but if there's an event or whatever, yes. Your communications, like your Facebook posts, and I'm in the process of having a Facebook automation system put together for this. I've got tired landlord graphics. I've got foreclosure graphics, tax sale graphics. In fact, I'm chasing down a tax sale later today. So, those kinds of pinch point targets. The mental distinction is if it's we like to talk about houses, not homes.
Mhm.
We buy houses, we sell homes. Okay, we buy houses, the flipper sells the home. The home is the place somebody loves. It's the same structure, but the person that's done with it is just a house. If it's a home, they might have an emotional connection to it. And the biggest thing is we solve their problem. Oh yeah, probate, estate sales,
Yeah.
those kinds of, obituaries. I mean, it sounds gross to send a postcard to an obituary to follow up on an obituary. I've got thousands of them because I hate sending out postcards myself. I can send them down to you, but basically, there's a little tree on one side, and on the back is a little letter from what was then my 3-year-old daughter. But a little cutesy thing that says, we understand the change of life has come. When you're ready, we're here. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
You want to be sensitive. They're going through a horrible time. Divorces, yes and no. As a listing agent, 1000%. Yes. As a wholesaler, the no part comes into they probably need to or want to sell it. Whenever there's contention, they probably need to sell it for market value. However, no reason you shouldn't contact divorces. No reason you shouldn't contact pre-NOD, which is the filing of the Prothonotari's office for pre-notice of default, pre-foreclosure. No reason at all you shouldn't do that. But when it comes to a divorce or a contentious issue, just realize that the two parties in a divorce are probably trying to screw each other over. And one of them may be trying to sell for a number lower than it's worth. And the other person might say, not going to happen. I want the full value. So whether your play is there, and anybody on the deed, and this is a conversation that always has to be had, is, are you the only decision maker? Yes. Are you on the deed? No, my mom is. Okay. What makes you the decision maker? Da-da-da. Anybody on the deed or with, and they claim they have a power of attorney, they have to show it. The point is, one member of an ownership cannot unilaterally give us permission to sell the property. Now, if they tell us they're the only one and they've lied to us, okay, nothing we can do there. And we've done our, because we're going to check court records really quick and make sure. But the point is, we need all the decision makers on board. But very often, sometimes divorces are very happy to, they want to be gone from each other, whatever. The other category, and again, this is a covering of time you don't really have a lot of, but the other category is code violations, municipal violations. Mm-hmm. You can get relationships with, and very often you'll have to do a Freedom of Information Act request for condemnations, code violations, whatever in a community. And again, this is something a VA or whatever can help with, and I do have a VA that we can task on this purpose. Mm-hmm. And literally you're just going to the code officer town by town, up and down the dial. Like, keep in mind, nothing in Pennsylvania is easy or broad. Philadelphia City has their code people, and each little borough around it has their code people. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not. So code ones, another thing to get landlords is filings of eviction courts. I'm not saying you go sit in an eviction court, but the point is, that's a pinch point. A landlord is going through a lot of evictions. And the last one is code. What was the other one? This one is not always a hugely successful one, but I think it will become more so. Is reaching out to bankruptcy attorneys.
Oh yeah, I've tried that. I need to reach out to a couple of more. One didn't have anything, and then another one I've been trying to call for a couple of weeks, and then my number came up as spam. So I still need to talk to a couple of lawyers.
Yep, lawyers, bankruptcy attorneys, accountants, like that. Also estate attorneys and that whole category of that. And again, this is where back to Chamber of Commerce. Going to a Chamber of Commerce event and kind of, becoming a visible face May or may not be worth joining the chamber, but if you can go to some events, great. Community events. Also not a horrible idea if you have time to go to some city council meetings and become known to them. Very often they can't legally tell you specifics, but they sometimes will.
Yeah.
I had a former code officer who would drive me around town and say that house, that house, that house, and he would even introduce me to people. And the other one is, so the last one would be bandit signs and flyers and sort of deads like that. I got lots of bandit signs I can send you, flyers, whatever, or you can make them, whatever. And you keep in mind, they're called bandit signs because they're not legal. They're not supposed to be. You're putting them on telephone poles. You don't own the pole. You have no rights to the pole. That's why you use a fake number.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get a call, someone yelling about a sign, go take the sign down. I mean, just, whatever. But you want to put them you want to put them in places where people, like, if they're going 60 miles an hour, don't put it there because no one can read it that fast. Try to put it on, poles at turns or whatever. Or what I do once in a while is I put signs on my Jeep. I go down, park my Jeep at Lowe's, and then I'll take my moped home. And the Jeep will sit there for a week. And I'll go down and move it every couple of days or whatever. Because where do people go when they've got a house that sucks? They might be going to a bankruptcy attorney. They might be, and there's geofencing and there's digital ways to do this. People's phones go to a certain location and you pop up an ad. But they're going to Lowe's because they have to fix their house. Their roof is caving in, so they need a tarp. So putting are you suffering from foreclosure or back taxes sign, whatever. Last one to consider is the tax sale. And there's two sides to the tax sale coin. Then I promise we'll wrap up. The tax sale, and again, we have VAs. I know you've got time limitations, but we have VAs that we can fold into this. I'm just kind of giving you a sort of 5,000 foot level.
Yeah.
So the first thing is going to a tax sale to buy, like you looked up a property or whatever. Okay, maybe. The second thing is going to it, so there's two tax sales. There's three tax sales in Pennsylvania. There's the upset, which is the first one it goes to. Anybody who buys at the upset sale still owes the mortgage. All that's cleared is taxes. There's the judicial, which clears almost everything, quotes around everything. And then there's the repository. If things don't sell at the upset, they head to judicial a year later. If they don't sell at judicial, they go to the repository. The repository is a box of shit that nobody wanted on the first two sales that you can buy over the counter for $500. Repository, tough to deal with, put that to the side. The window for us, every sale, 30 days before the sale, they publish the list of who's facing the sale. That list is a list of victims. I mean, a list of people who are going to be victimized by the system because they're going to the opposite. 30 days ain't a lot. So going from the upset list to the upset sale, you got to act pretty quick because you got to drive by, see if you like it, skip trace the owner, yada, yada, yada. All can be done by automation, yes. The year between the failure at upset, they show up on the list after the upset sale is not sold. And when they show up on judicial, that year is a great year because then they've got another knife coming to their throat. And you got a year to talk to them about it. And so does everybody else. So that's another list of people who have a pinch point. They've got a tax problem. And the one list that I would not recommend focusing on, pre-NOD, pre-foreclosure, yes, foreclosure, yes. But when they're published in the sheriff sale list as coming up on the next sheriff sale, yes and no, because banks can buy the property out of sheriff sale and almost always do for the amount owed. So if their debt on the property is bigger than you could wholesale it for, the bank's going to buy it. So I don't even really personally pay attention to sheriff sales. I'll do pre-foreclosures. So I know I kind of went through a lot, and I'll send you a link to this. But basically, I mean, I think you got a pretty good handle on stuff. I'll sign up for the AI call center. I'll get you the logins to batch leads, and it's a messaging system. I have a VA we can use. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Any other whatevers? And I'll give you Chris Patel's information as well as Shareth's information.
Okay. Oh yeah. Once you sign up, just send me the login information, and I'll go over the videos that it has on the program, so I can get my leads in there.
All right, cool. Now I'm also signing up a buyer right now who has reluctantly given us 1 year, 2.5% statewide. And that means that if we deal with a local agent to represent the buyer, someone to walk him through, someone to be his boots on the ground,
Hmm.
we negotiate with that agent for their fee out of ours. So we're getting 2.5. We will, if we need someone locally, then we will, have to work with somebody locally and say, hey, how much of the 2.5 are you taking? Or we come up with that number. But this guy actively wants to buy primarily Altoona and Scranton area, primarily, in fact, almost exclusively. But I'll give you that guy's contact, and once I sign him up, we can definitely work with that. But all right, I think we're in good shape. I hope I didn't take you too deep down the rabbit hole.
No.
All right, sounds good, man. I will talk to you soon.
All right, man. I see you.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.